Hello and welcome to the CheeseHead Thread Podcast. This is a podcast for all Packers fans. This is a Packers podcast. I'm very excited to be doing this. I do apologize for being 5 weeks late. I really apologize, but this is a podcast for my senior project. It just a lot has to go into this. Figuring out how to do everything, figuring out the right system, the right amount of shows to do. Figuring out the stats, the script, everything like that. So I do apologize for being 5 weeks late. Really do apologize, but we have a lot to talk about. The Packers are 3-2, not the record that I thought we would be. I thought it'd be 4-1. I expected us to be 3-1, or at the start, and now we're 3-2. Not what you want to see, but we have a lot to talk about. So let's get to it. So the Packers came into this game, it's week 1, America's Game of the Week, 425 in Minnesota, a rocky environment, division rival, need this win for playoff, seeding, need to show us a better result than week 1, which from last year, where we got absolutely demolished by the Saints in Jacksonville. Definitely not the place we thought we'd be playing, but there was a hurricane going on, so we can't do anything about that, we just know about David Bakhtiari, no Elton Jacobs, and no Allen Lazard. Were big injury losses in that game. They didn't play at all. Lazard had I believe an ankle injury, and Elton and Bakhtiari were both coming back from torn ACLs, which are year-long injuries. If you don't know, they are some of the worst injuries players can face. But definitely could have gone very differently if a couple of things just would have gone our way instead of the Vikings. We literally first offensive play of the entire season is it's just a perfect play call by Matt LaFleur. It's an all-out flyer out for Christian Watson. We're trying to get Christian Watson, our second-round pick, the guy that we traded 2 second-round picks for, the ball, trying to see what this guy can do, see if he can be an impact player, proving the world that we made the right choice by not drafting a first-round receiver. Burns Patrick Peterson. Aaron Rodgers throws a complete dart to Christian Watson, and it just goes right through his hands. He has to catch that ball. I cannot tell you how insanely this game changed because of that right there. It's like all momentum was lost. Yes, the Packers defense gave up an early touchdown to the Vikings with their new head coach from the Rams. It's not what you want to see at all. But, we had a perfect opportunity to win that game, or to at least get a touchdown right there, and bam, he just drops it. It would have been if not a touchdown, at least a 50-yard pass. Just really, really not good. But Justin Jefferson just killed us this game. I mean, we had no answers. Justin Jefferson had 9 catches on 11 targets for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is being beaten by one person. I mean, just one person. The Packers at one point had Preston freaking Smith on Justin Jefferson. He is an outside linebacker. Preston Smith is like 270 pounds, and we have him, I couldn't even believe it. We have him on Justin Jefferson, who's a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. I just could not believe that somehow, someway, we had him on, Justin Jefferson at one point. The Packers also in this game, we could have scored 21. Like I said, that Watson touchdown, we scored 7, but it's 4th and 1, 4th and goal at the goal line. We need to score to at least put some points on the board for that game. And we get stuffed. We give it to A.J. Dillon, who's our, 220, 40-pound beast of a running back, and bam, he's just stuffed. A big key to this game as well was Zadarius Smith. Zadarius Smith was a, former edge player for the Green Bay Packers just up to last year. There was a lot of controversy during that season. He only played the first game of the year, and then he played, in the playoff game. Had a back issue, could have had surgery in the offseason, was upset that he wasn't voted a captain. Very petty in my opinion. I'm happy that Preston signed back with us instead of him. It was very petty. And, Zadarius made Rodgers kind of look terrible in this game as well. It was not a good performance at all. Just really not, It was just a very, very, very disappointing game. The entire team just underperformed. I mean, they just really just underperformed, especially the defense. We thought this defense was going to come out with swagger, be a top 5 defense in the league, just really come out showing why, they're that guy, and, they just didn't do it. I mean, they just didn't do it. They didn't do it. Just very disappointing. Very, very, very disappointing. And of course, the NFL loves doing this, and they all love to do this as well, where when you have a player that leaves your team, like Davante Adams did, they love it when that player does better than your entire wide receiver core. Davante Adams is possibly the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. Most likely the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. And he was traded to the Raiders for 2 first-round picks. First and a second-round pick, excuse me. It was a very sad day, very, very disappointing that we couldn't agree to a contract extension. And it just made it even worse. The fact that our entire wide receiver core had less than 100 yards. Granted, this was without Allen Lazard. You have to remember this. In this situation. Can't forget that. But our entire wide receiver core had less than 100 yards, and Davante Adams had over 100, and they kept making fun of us all throughout that game. Best players on offense, for sure, was A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon had 10 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. He also had 5 catches for 46 yards. Very, very impressive from Dillon. Romeo and Christian Watson in their first game, kind of underwhelming. It was very sad to see Watson drop that pass. Dobbs, though, had a great preseason and training camp. He had 4 catches for 37 yards this game. Happy to see that from him. Rodgers, though, did not have a good game at all. 22 for 34, 195 yards, and a pick. He never throws an interception. It's hardly ever. He's the best accurate passer in the history of the NFL. He has less than 110 interceptions in his career, I believe. Very shocking to see him throw a pick in this game. He had a QBR of 67.7. Rodgers is usually around over 100. So just a very disappointing game. And the Vikings defense the Vikings run game, which was supposed to be scary because we're not usually very good against the run, they didn't even do that much against us, 20 carries for 90 yards for Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison for 36. So 28 carries for 126 yards. Like, that is not as bad as it has gotten. I mean, Dalvin Cook has single-handedly beaten us before. So just a really, really, really sucky game. But I'll touch more on that Davante Adams piece. I said it at week 1. Davante Adams goes off week 1. The Packers wide receivers don't. And if, lo and behold, everyone will do memes on us, which they did. There was a lot of negative PR about us after this game. But we shut them up week 2, and I'm really excited to talk about that in 1 second. So the Packers came into this game 0-1, dead last in the division, and we're facing the Chicago Bears, who surprisingly beat the San Francisco 49ers, who are a very solid team. But they were basically playing in a monsoon, so Chicago barely beat this team, and it was in a monsoon, so I don't really count it. Literally, Soldier Field was filled with puddles. That's what it was. It was literally being squeegeed. I'm serious. The field was being squeegeed. That's how bad it was. That was just terrible. But we needed to destroy the Bears on national television 8:20 game, Sunday Night Football, prime time game. Needed to get this win, and we absolutely dominated this team. Dominated them. But let's get into it. The Packers took care of business without David Bakhtiari, our starting left tackle, again. But Elton Jenkins, who also tore his ACL last year, came back in this game. Very happy to see him back. Started at right tackle. Josh Nijman was back at left tackle again. But Alan Lazard was also back this week, so very happy to see that. But we targeted the ever-living heck out of Kyler Gordon, the nickel corner for the Bears. He himself gave up 10 catches for 162 yards and a touchdown on 13 targets. I'm that serious. Aaron Rodgers this game wasn't insane, but he was actually better. He was a lot better this game. 19 for 25, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging almost 10 yards per catch, 131.1 QBR. That's more like it. Kind of cruise to the victory, The star of the show, though, was Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones stood out this game. He had 132 yards on 15 carries, averaged 8.8 yards per attempt. Just was so dominant in this game. He also had 3 catches for 38 yards and a touchdown. Just so dominant this game. The Packers defense looked really bad, though. The Packers have looked terrible in run defense for the last 3 years. So, I'm not really shocked in this game. But here's the thing, though. We gave up 180 rushing yards. But 104 of those yards came on one drive at the end of the game. 104. So we gave up 76 yards everywhere else, but 104 yards came on this play. Now you're saying, Cyrus, how is this even possible? Well, the Bears had a holding penalty, which put them back 10 yards, and we also got a sack on this drive. But they got a lot of those yards back on a rushing touch, on a lot of rushing yards. So Montgomery, he kind of ate this game, had 15 carries for 122 yards, averaged 8 yards per carry. Really, really good for Montgomery. Kind of torched us. But on that same drive, it was 3rd and goal, I believe, from the 2 to 3 yard line. And Justin Fields is about to literally walk in for a touchdown. But our first round pick, our pick 1, round 1, pick 22, Quay Walker, who Peter Bukowski, which is a guy I listened to, absolutely hated the pick. He's kind of come around to it, but he just didn't like the value there. I don't know how he made that play, but Quay Walker ran Justin Fields down. I think Justin Fields ran a 4.4, which is insanely fast on the 40-yard dash. But he absolutely stopped Justin Fields from making it in there. Absolutely just insane play. Stopped a first-year touchdown. And then on the next play, they did a 4th and goal for a QB sneak. Justin Fields trying to score again, but we held up again, stopped them. Also got an interception late on the last defensive drive by Jair Alexander. Justin Fields was absolutely horrid in this game. Their quarterback for the Bears, 7 out of 11 for 70 yards. Technically only 48 yards because of the 22 yards lost in the sack for 6.4 yards per catch. Threw a pick for a total of 43.8 rating. That is absolutely terrible. We cruised to this win. Oh, and I was talking about Davante Adams, right, earlier, saying how people were putting up graphics everywhere saying, Davante had more wide receiver yards than the entire team, right? Oh, well, Sammy Watkins himself had 3 catches for 93 yards. And, what did Davante Adams have in the game against the Cardinals? 2 catches for 12 yards. 2 catches for 12 yards. And I'm going on a rant here. I'm about to go on a rant here because I'm very upset about this. I never understand why the NFL does this. They punish us for doing terribly, but they never reward us. ESPN, NFL, CBS, NBC. Doesn't matter. It doesn't fit the narrative. I will say that till the day I die. It doesn't fit the narrative. If the Packers do well, it doesn't fit the narrative. I will say that until the day I die. We had more wide receiver yards this week and the next week than Davante Adams. And was there ever a graphic that said that? No. It was dead silence. Silence. Literally silence. Nothing. No saying, hey, Devontae had less yards than the Packers this week. Hey, Devontae had less yards than the Packers this week. Oh, did he? Wow, how shocking. Devontae Adams had less yards than the entire Packers wide receiver core? Wow. Oh, but he had more yards than the entire wide receiver core in week 1? Oh, we got to show that. But as soon as we do better than Devontae Adams, if you just show Sammy Watkins compared to Devontae Adams, 93-12. Randall Cobb, 37-12. Romeo Doubs, 27-2. I'm sorry, 27-12. Alan Lazard, 13-12, which is still technically more. It's still technically more. So, were people memeing the heck out of us in this game? No, because we took care of business, and that's all we had to do apparently, which I understand. But still, it was dead silence when we do well, and all the disrespect, all the memes come out as soon as we don't do well. So the Packers easily won this game, 1-1, easy W. Justin Fields and the Bears have one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Sadly enough, Luke Getsy, who is the Packers quarterback coach the last couple seasons, actually is the Bears offensive coordinator. So he has not done well at all. Very, very shocking to see how terrible this offense actually is. But yeah, I mean, Packers get an easy W. In the preview of the Tampa Bay game, I mean, we really need this win. We can't go down 1-2. I expected us to lose this game. I thought we beat the Vikings in week 1, lose this game, and then go to 2-1. Yeah, but I guess not. But I guess we'll see what happened in Tampa Bay. But if you already know, you already know. But the Packers took a W. It was very close, though. Very, very close. Way too close. Way too close for everyone that was out. And I'll explain why it shouldn't have been that close in a second. If you don't know, this was the game of the immortals. It is Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, the top two quarterbacks over the last decade. I personally think Tom Brady is one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time. Many people disagree with me, but I don't really care. He's been bailed out by his defense and the officiating forever, and I will never disagree with that. I will never agree with that. I will always say he's one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time because he is. He is terrible. But I digress. If you don't know, the Packers were the number 1 seed in the 2020 playoffs, lost to the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship game, and the Buccaneers ended up going to the Super Bowl. It was such a terrible loss, and they've been our rivals ever since. It's we hate the Buccaneers. We hate them. We just hate them. But if you didn't know, Mike Evans is the WR1 for the Buccaneers, and in week 2 against the Saints, he started a fight. And because of that, he got suspended. So sad. W for us, but they were also without their wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 of Chris Godwin and Julio Jones. Julio Jones had a partially torn PCL, and I believe Chris Godwin also had a hamstring injury, so that's why neither of them played. But Sammy Watkins suffered a hamstring injury, I guess, in week 2 and was put on IR. So he would be out until at least week 7. And Christian Watson also suffered a hamstring injury against the Bears as well. So he would be out as well. But shockingly, David Bakhtiari came back this game. And if I were to tell you as a Packer fan that you would have expected David Bakhtiari, who had torn his ACL in 2020. It was like 22 months since he tore it. Not 22, but at least like 18 months since he tore his ACL, and he somehow played this game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, if not one, a top 3 defense in the NFL, have a great defensive line. Vita Vea is a 300-pound monster. Shaq Barrett is a top 5 edge. Devin White and Levante David are 2 of the top 15 linebackers in the league. Just shocking that Bakhtiari came back. Joe Tryon is a very good rookie, up and coming. Just so shocking that he played in this game, but I was really happy to see him back. Very happy to see him play. It has been a long time since he played in meaningful snaps. I mean, he played in Week 18 against the Lions last year, but we had already secured the number 1 seed. We didn't need the win. He only played a half, and he didn't play the playoff game. So we needed to see him win. Needed to see him take a fat W, and he was back. So that was really good to see. But here's the thing with Bakhtiari. They alternated drives with Josh Nijman, who had already played the first 2 games of the year. So it was 1 drive Bach, 1 drive Nijman, 1 drive Bach, 1 drive Nijman. Very shocking to see. Peter Bukowski said that he's not ever seen that, or if not ever seen that, not in a really, really long time. Really shocking to see, but just very shocking. But the Packers dominated this first half. Let's be honest. They dominated the first half. It was 14-3. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers just looked terrible. The defense, shockingly, was not playing well. Todd Bowles, who is the head coach of the Buccaneers, really coaches his team very well. Just a really, really shocking game in the first half. And the Packers were actually about to go up 21-3. I mean, we literally could have won this game in the first half. But Aaron Jones caught the ball at like the 1-yard line. The 1-yard line. He had 2 separate players trying to bring him down, and a 340-pound player, Vita Vea, comes up from behind him and just beats the living heck out of him, takes him down, and Aaron Jones fumbles the ball, and the Buccaneers sadly recover the football. Now the Packers did not score again. They literally did not score in the second half. It was one of the worst. That is one of the worst offensive halves I've ever seen. One of the worst offensive halves I've ever seen. It was just awful. I mean, we could not do a freaking thing. We couldn't do anything. I mean, we literally couldn't do a thing. We couldn't do a thing on offense. I mean, Pat O'Donnell literally won offensive special teams player of the week because he had to do so much on the defensive, on the punting end. I mean, he had 7 punts for 339 yards, a 48.4 average, and he had 5 of those punts inside the 20. That is fantastic punting. That is fantastic time of possession. Not time of possession, but just a really nice job making it so that the Buccaneers have good field position, But, sorry. But here's the thing. We cannot prevent defense on that last drive. We just can't do it. Tampa Bay scored 2 field goals. One in the third quarter and one in the fourth quarter. And one in the first quarter, one in the third quarter. And it is coming down to the last possession. The Packers still can't score, literally can't score. But the Packers played just so passive on that last drive. So passive. I mean, we just were not running well at all with the Packers defense. We just couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. Sorry, with the Buccaneers offense. We gave up everything. Everything they threw at us, they basically converted on that last drive. I mean, I am sitting here watching us almost have a massive collapse. I mean, you have literally made it so that Tom Brady, who is the winningest player in NFL history, is having to drive it down the length of the field to potentially beat you when you have basically your entire team. And the Buccaneers didn't really have much at all. That was just very, very, very disappointing to see. Not what you want to see, especially when you have the MVP of the last 2 years on your team. And you have A.J. Dillon, you have Aaron Jones, you have Alan Lazard, you have Robert Tonyan, all playing. And you can't even make it so that you can score a field goal in the second half. It's just so disappointing. But Devondre Campbell made the play of the game. It is literally 12-14. If the Buccaneers get a 2-point conversion, the game is tied, and we are about to go to overtime. But Devondre Campbell tips the ball. He jumps up so high, and he tips that ball. The Packers recover the onside kick, and we win. We escaped out of Tampa Bay. We escaped. Now, let me tell you the best players of the game here. The best players of the game. Romeo Doubs, 8 catches, 73 yards, your first touchdown ever. Heck of a game. Love to see it. Had a great first half. Randall Cobb, 2 catches, 57 yards. Phenomenal. But both run games in this game were terrible. 25 carries, 67 yards for a 2.7 average for the Packers. 14 carries for 34 yards and a 2.4 average. That is just terrible running from both teams. Not good at all. And both quarterbacks, they were just solid in this game. I mean, Rodgers, 27 for 35, 248 yards, 7.3 average, 2 touchdowns, another pick, another one, and 103.9 rating. That's solid, but that's just not good enough. It's not good enough. We're talking about the Buccaneers. You escaped from this game. You escaped with this win. You can't be escaping this win from Tom Brady. You can't be doing that. That is not a successful way to win. It can't last. And I haven't mentioned this yet, and I apologize that I haven't. The Packers have had a serious issue with fumbling. In the first game, I believe we fumbled once or twice. The second game we fumbled. This game we fumbled. Week 4 we fumbled. In week 5, we actually didn't fumble, which was a good thing, but we lost the frickin' game to the Giants, which is an absolute... That's a crap show. That can't happen. I got a lot to talk about in that game, but that just can't happen. It just can't happen. Just can't happen. Just cannot happen. But very happy to see that we won this game, though. But we escaped. We escaped. That can't happen. It just can't happen. We won, and this can help us to the playoff positioning with a win over the Buccaneers. But happy they won, but that just can't. With the amount of players that the Buccaneers had, you cannot be only winning this game by 2 points. I understand that it was in Tampa. I understand that you're playing at one of the best defenses in the league, but you cannot go from looking like an absolute number 1 seed in the first half to looking like absolutely one of the worst offenses in the league in the second half. That just can't happen. Can't happen. And it keeps on happening. It keeps on happening. And I'll talk to you about week 4 and 5 in 1 second. So, week 4, the Packers come in 2-1, playing the New England Patriots, who were, I believe, 1-2 at the time. But the Patriots were without Mac Jones, their franchise quarterback. They were without him. Had a high ankle sprain he suffered against the Ravens in week 3. He just couldn't play. Brian Hoyer got the start for them. Pretty much just... you got to win this game. You just have to win this game. You just can't allow this team to beat you. I mean, and they almost did. I mean, I cannot believe how many times the Packers have almost lost games this year, but they've lost games and almost lost games to teams that just suck. We barely beat the Buccaneers without half their team, not half, but a good portion of their team not playing. We lose to the Giants without half their team. We barely beat the Patriots at Lambeau Field. At Lambeau freaking Field, we barely beat the New England Patriots without their starting quarterback. And the player they started, Brian Hoyer, who goes 5 for 6 for 37 yards, gets injured by Rashawn Gary on the first drive of the game. You have Bailey Zappi, who's a 7th-round pick, who literally is the greatest FBS passer of all time by stats, but not someone that you want running your team. I mean, he was a 7th-round pick for a reason. Let's remember this now. A 7th-round pick for a reason. And he almost beat you. Now, I got some things to talk about with the officiating in this game. The head official, dude, are you okay? Are you okay? Multiple times in this game, you were saying 96 on the offense. Dude, 96 on the offense? Is there seriously a 96 on the offense? No, it's on the defense. Multiple times in this game, and my gosh, that touchdown to Devontae Parker was an absolute BS call. That is one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I'm telling you that right now. The play clock is at 0 for a solid 3 seconds. 0, 0, 0. And on the play before, it was a delay of game as well. They actually called that one, but on the next play, they don't. So, if you call it on that play, why aren't you calling it on the next play? You should be looking at the clock, considering that on the play before, they called it. So, they're having a history of doing this, back-to-back plays, but of course, no, they don't. They don't call it. And the Patriots get an easy touchdown because of it. Because I'm assuming that the Packers were like, hey, it's at 0 again. Again. This should not have gone to overtime. This should not have gone to overtime. For multiple reasons. But that was a big one. If they don't have that touchdown, this game does not go to overtime. And we're not barely beating the Patriots with the last-second field goal by Mason Crosby. But Mason Crosby, thank you so much for kicking that field goal and making it. But once again, holy crap. It is 27-24 final against the New England freaking Patriots in Lambeau Field without their starting quarterback and their wide receiver one in Jacoby Myers. The only thing you have to stop in this game as a Packers defensive player is Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, the two back duo in this game. That's all you have to do as the Packers defense. All you have to do. And Joe Barry came out playing zone, playing, light boxes, 2 deep safeties against a backup quarterback. This is Joe Barry's problem. He's done this multiple times, all last year. Tyler Huntley is a backup quarterback, not playing for a team in the NFL. And I think he's on the Ravens as a backup quarterback. And he was torching us. He's a backup quarterback. A backup quarterback. It's not Lamar Jackson, who's a former NFL MVP. It's Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley. Let's be clear here. And he's almost beating us. It took a bad decision by John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh, whatever their coach's name is, of going for 2, and they should have just taken the extra point to win that game. And we barely beat Baker Mayfield, a game that I was at, when all you have to do is once again stop the run, and we play too passive there as well. The Packers right now have a history of playing too passive. We play way too passive, we don't stop the run well enough, and it's cost us time and time again under the Matt LaFleur era. Joe Barry needs to look himself in the mirror and say, hey, we should not be losing or barely beating teams with terrible quarterbacks, and I understand, we're beating good teams that have good quarterbacks. We do. I mean, I wish that literally Joe Barry would just decide, hey, we need to stop the run. We need to stop the run against teams that don't have quarterbacks. I just wish he would do that. But he never does. He never does. He never does. But I digress. Bailey Zappi, 10 for 15, 99 yards, touchdown, 107.4 rating. Actually outplayed Rodgers in this game. Damian Harris, 18 carries for 86 yards, a touchdown, 4.8 a carry. Ramondre Stevenson, 14 for 66 yards, 4.7. 33 carries for 167 yards and a 5.1 average. 167 yards you're giving up to the Patriots on rushing defense when all you have to do is stop that. That can't happen. It can't happen. Can't happen. And it consistently does. Just can't happen. Just so disappointing as usual. But Jair Alexander and Adrian Amos in this game both don't play. Jair got hurt during the Buccaneers game. Keyshawn Nixon played very well in that game. I apologize for not including that. Just played very well in the absence of Jair, who's our CB1. I know, Miss Mathis, you'll remember that because of my speech last year. Yeah, I mean, Adrian Amos, who's our best safety, also gets hurt, gets a concussion. Very sad to see him go. But we were playing with Keyshawn Nixon and Rudy Ford. And Rudy Ford is on this team to play special teams. So just not a good secondary. I mean, our secondary was Eric Stokes, Rasul Douglas, Darnell Savage, Rudy Ford, and Keyshawn Nixon. That's 3 good players and 2 not good players. I understand that everyone has to go through injuries, but that's still a good enough secondary to say, hey, we can't be giving up 136 yards. And almost, we can't be giving up a touchdown and big plays. Oh, boy. But, on offense, Allen Lazard had a heck of a game. 6 catches for 116 yards, almost 20 yards per catch. Aaron Jones, 16 carries for 110 yards, almost had 7 yards per carry. A.J. Dillon played well, 17 carries for 73 yards. Christian Watson gets his first ever touchdown in this game with a rushing touchdown. Rodgers throws a pick 6 in this game. Got to remember that, a pick six. That has only happened to Aaron Rodgers 4 times in his career. 4 times. So yes, there was a lot of stuff that doesn't usually happen in this game. But when you're at home and you have your basically your entire defense, other than your CB1 and safety 1, and you're playing against a team that does not have their wide receiver 1, your QB 1 or QB 2, and you can only win this game in overtime after you win the toss, and you still need to punt it away. Luckily, this game didn't end in a tie. But, I mean, it's just disappointing to see when your team is supposed to be better than what they have been producing so far this year, and you're lucky. I mean, you're just lucky to be 3-1. I mean, you dominate the Bears. That was an easy win. Knew it from day one. But you lose terribly to the Vikings. You barely beat the the Buccaneers and the Patriots. And in the game I'm about to talk about here, you lose to the Giants. Granted, it was in London, but, I mean, guys, it's the Giants. I understand they're 3-1, but the Giants have been one of the worst teams in the National Football League over the last, 6 years. Mark Sanchez made a great point today. If this was 3 years ago, I mean, the Giants would be scrambling just to be able to have any offense in this game at all. And they somehow won 27-22. And the Packers, once again, don't score again in the second half. They have only scored 7 points in 7 points or less in the second half of the season, 4 out of the 5 games so far this year. Over the last couple of years, it's been to where, the Packers come out really weak and we finish strong. But now it's been, we come out strong and we come out ready to play. And then in the second half, we can't do anything to win. I don't understand how this is happening. I don't get it. I don't know why this is the case. But I'll talk about it in the Giants segment in a second, but it just can't happen. Like, once again, man, happy you get the win, but man, how are you barely beating a Patriots team in Lambeau Field without half their offense? Just can't happen. Can't happen. Yeah. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You lose to the Giants in London with a game that you didn't want to play. I understand you don't want to be there. I understand. But you have to take this. If this game has not looked back and you have not lit a fire underneath you, Packers, then you need to figure out what side you are on. You need to figure out what team you represent. You had that many fans in London cheering for you. This is a home game. A home game that we are forced to play in London. I understand you don't want to be there, but you need to take accountability. You can't be losing to the Giants with Daniel Jones having a hurt ankle, with Saquon Barkley leaving halfway in the third quarter with a shoulder injury, with Kenny Golladay and Wan'Dale Robinson not playing, with half their defense hurt, with at least part of their defense being hurt. And the only player that you don't have in this game is Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt, who has not made an impact all year. That can't happen. Can't happen. I'm sorry if your ears are hurt. I'm sorry, but that just can't happen. It can't happen. This is a national game. You are on a public platform. You are playing one of the worst teams in the last 5 years. And you come out with such an embarrassing performance in the second half that you are literally getting pity points. Pity points. This game should have been 20-27, and they took a cheap safety so that it would run more clock off the board. You don't deserve those 2 points. You didn't deserve this win. They wanted this win. Brian Daboll, all respect in the world to you. Heck of a job in this game. Congratulations. But Packers, you need to look yourselves in the mirror. You are now 3-2. You barely beat the New England Patriots. You barely beat Tampa Bay. Hobbled as well. You lose to the New York Giants. You are playing the New York Jets and Washington Commanders, two of the worst teams in the NFL. And if you do not beat both these teams going into Buffalo 5-2, something is seriously wrong. And we need to figure it out ASAP. We need to figure this out right now. I know that flight's going to be long, but Matt LaFleur, figure it out. Aaron Rodgers, figure it out. This is embarrassing. Embarrassing. To go in, to have a lackadaisical attitude all week. For Matt LaFleur to be grumpy that he has to be here. This is what you're dealt. This is the National Football League. You either be a man or you get out of here. I know I'm a high school kid. I understand that. But you are paid to be an NFL player. You are paid to be an NFL player that will do what it says in your contract, and that is to show up for every football game, no matter what time and what place. unless you were injured, and you show up playing like this, you have a great first half. Heck of a job, guys. Heck of a job. Love to see it. Finally, it's a place, it's a time where, hey, wow, we're actually beating a bad team. Wow, we actually look good. Oh my gosh, we're actually beating the daylights out of a bad team. And then Daniel Jones plays the best game he's ever played in the National Football League. His rating says 100.2. It felt like a 158 in the second half. He made every read. He was running on that bad ankle just fine. He goes 21 for 27, 213 yards, 8 average, didn't even have a touchdown or a pick for a 100.2 rating. Saquon Barkley goes 13 for 70 and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley did not have a good game. Good job, defense. Good job. Good job. Love it. Love to see it. Great job. Only 125 yards rushing with multiple wide receivers out. Good job, defense. Good job. TJ Slayton, great game, my friend. Great game. Great game. Love to see it. Love to see it. But then you're giving up 6 catches for 79 yards to Darius Slayton. You're giving up a 40-yard bomb to Saquon Barkley. You're giving up 3 catches for 35 yards to Marcus Johnson. You're giving up 2 catches for 22 yards to Daniel Bellinger. 16 yards for Richie James. David Sills, the 5th, gets 12 yards. Chris Myarick? Who is that? Chris Myarick? I know it's 4 yards, but sheesh, who in the heck is that? Gary Brightwell scores his first ever touchdown in this game. Who the heck is Gary Brightwell? Daniel Bellinger scores a rushing touchdown in this game. He's a tight end. A tight end. A tight end. What? And their defense didn't even do that much. 1 sack, 2 sacks this whole game. 2 sacks. 5 TFLs. And seven PBUs, I think. That's good PBUs, but dude, they didn't even play that well. I know I haven't gotten into most of the stuff, and I don't think I will, because I'm just so flabbergasted that Aaron Rodgers goes 25 for 39. 39 passes in this game compared to 20 carries. 222 yards, 5.7 average. 5.7 average? 6 yards per pass. Huh? 6? 2 touchdowns, which is good. A 96.3 rating. You did worse than Daniel freaking Jones, a bust in the NFL. Daniel Jones with the 6th overall pick in the 2019 NFL Draft. 6th, and he's been a bust. He's not played well. Like I said, this is his best game of his career. Best game. What? And you only give A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones 19 carries? Huh? I mean, okay, there was a drive where we did a 3-and-out. 2 of those plays were bombs, and what? And what happens on the next drive? Giants score a touchdown. We lose this game because of that. Three pass plays. 3 pass plays. Give Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon a rush. Aaron Jones with 13 carries for 63 yards and a 4.8 average. That's almost 5 yards per carry. You do that, you should win this game. A.J. Dillon, 6 carries. That is complete BS right there. 6 carries for A.J. Dillon. 225 to 40-pound man on this defense, and he only gets 6 carries. 6 carries. 6. How many times do I have to say this podcast? That can't happen. It can't. It can't. Just can't happen. There were a couple bright spots in this game. Randall Cobb, 7 catches for 99 yards. Everyone saying that Randall Cobb should not be a member of this team, you can shut your mouth, boy, because guess what? Randall Cobb, 99 yards. Yeah, he is amazing. He's played really well this year. Really well. Mercedes Lewis gets his first catch in this game. Nice play design by Matt LaFleur. Not one of the nicest things I can say about him today. Very nice job. What a play design. Happy to see Big Dog get a touchdown. Quay Walker having the most tackles in this game. Jair Alexander played well coming back. Had a really nice play in the first quarter where he jumped a route on Saquon Barkley. Barkley was about to have like a screen, and he just beats the crap out of him on that play. Heck of a job by Jair on that play. But it was just terrible. Literally we gave up our first 3rd and long all season long. We only punted 3 times this game. 3 times. We only punted 3 times. You only punt 3 times in a game. Usually you're winning that game. We're almost at an hour here. I could go on and on about this game. I have to go. I'm sorry. I'm just very, very upset. We need to come out this week in practice and show everyone why we are the Green Bay freaking Packers. Show the New York Jets you can't come up in here. That last game was a fluke. Can't happen again. We need to show up in Buffalo, a 5-2 team, looking to come and decide Buffalo and beat them. At the rate it's going, we're going to get our butts handed to us in that game if we do not figure out something right now. I'm dead serious. Because we go into this game playing like we have, we're about to lose 35-0. Because that can't happen. We need to show the world why we are better than this. We need to show the world why we are a good team. We need to show the world why we deserve to be in the playoffs this year. Why the Devontae Adams trade and not getting a wide receiver was a smart choice in trading our first-round player, not trading our 2 first-round picks for a first-round pick and getting Chris Olave or Drake London. Brian Gutekunst, we need to figure something out now. Because if this season does not work out, then this goes solely on you and you alone. Because you decided to say that Devontae Adams is not worth 27 to 28 million. And you also decided to say, hey, we're not going to trade for a wide receiver. We're not going to sign a wide receiver other than Sammy Watkins, who is hurt. We're not going to draft and trade to get Treylon Burks. We're not going to go get Drake London. We're not going to trade for Chris Olave. We're not going to trade for Garrett Wilson. We're not going to trade for Jahan Dotson. You decided to yet again not have a backup safety and a backup cornerback other than 2 special teams players. If Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage were to get hurt in a game, our safeties would be Rudy Ford and Devin Levitt, who are 2 special teams players. Cornerbacks. We'd have Keyshawn Nixon and Shamar John Charles. That can't happen. Our only linebacker depth, too, is Isaiah McDuffie and Eric Wilson, I think. I don't even know the guy's name. I don't know his name. Because he just got signed here. I gotta go look. I wonder if he'll even show up. Oh, he doesn't even show up. Oh, gosh. I mean, Brian Gutekunst. If we could not figure something out in the next 2 weeks, it is Eric Wilson, my fault. But if you do not figure this out in the next 2 weeks, when you have two of the worst teams in the NFL, I believe the Jets are like 3-2, and the Commanders are 1-4. This is the time, because after this, you have a tough stretch. Bills, Cowboys, Rams, Dolphins, Vikings, Lions. Lions are the number one offense in the league, but they put up a 0 today. Hey, Bailey Zappi, 29-0 against the Lions, or however much they scored. That's, at least the 3-point win doesn't look as bad as it does now. But that just can't happen. But all right. So I'm thinking about maybe doing a podcast next week. Expect 1 to 2 more this month. I'm looking to do 3 to 4 a month. Maybe some articles in the upcoming months. Thank you for sticking around. If you've made it all the way this far, thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, I know a lot of my show was a lot of it was hard and a lot of it was fun. Yeah, thank you for listening to the show. Follow me on Instagram, CXJS07. I might not follow you, or might not accept you, but I'm looking to have a CheeseHead Thread Instagram page soon. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Pack Go, 3-2. Better than most teams, but when you have Aaron Rodgers, it just can't happen. Can't be 3-2. So, thank you guys for listening. Can't wait to do this all year, up until I think March. And thank you for listening. Go Pack Go, and I'll see you later. Thank you.